Yes, when they are tested, definitely they find a way to win. Germany getting a 2-1 win against Sweden. And gentlemen, is this what you expected from Germany? To struggle against Sweden in the first half, then in the second half they get that equalizer, and then at death, none other than Toni Kroos makes sure that they get their first win in this tournament. Joe?
Yeah, I think if you look at, again, we go back to the Mexico game,
yes,
and how the Germans played. I'd attest it to tactical changes. First of all, the way the German machine plays right now is adopting a long ball specialist. And this is something that Dan is going to attest to this, whereby you're playing now a long ball, and previously you've been coached by two of the top coaches who are in the Premier League now, which is Pep Guardiola and Klopp, respectively, when they were in Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, where there was more of a counter-attack. But now, high press coming into the Sweden game, they would think the attackers are slow. But after they were countered, they thought, you know what, let's change it into a fast-paced game. Unfortunately, the chances were not capitalized, but towards the end, you know, Real Madrid maverick Toni Kroos comes up.
Well, Dan, your thoughts about the defending champions, Germany?
Germany is struggling, which comes as a surprise to many people. I'm actually a German fan, and it's a bit disappointing to see how they're playing. The Mexico game, you could see there was a serious defensive blunders that caused the goals and the counter-attacking. In Sweden, the team is a little bit slower, but we know Sweden, especially through even the qualification, they were able to shut out Italy.
Yeah.
So it is not a team that you're going to go there thinking, oh, we can score. It's a very hard team, very tactically disciplined team. It's not easy to break down, and we saw this by the number of chances that Germany got in the game. Germany's main issue right now, I would say, is basically the clinicality in front of goal. If they get clinical, they will get their chances, as we saw.
Okay, let's talk about this man, Toni Kroos. We had the picture of Toni Kroos right here, and he's the man that has been, you know, influential for this team. He's the man that has been creating chances from midfield, and yesterday he stuck the winner, a superbly stuck free kick. And my thoughts, if Cristiano Ronaldo had scored a goal like that, or Messi, the world would have gone crazy. But this man scored that goal, and people are not talking about it. Joe?
I think, again, it goes to the commercialization of football as it is right now. You look at certain players, you look at the pushes they get. I mean, it was a brilliant goal. We were even talking about it. It's textbook training ground. Again, that being said, he's very underrated in terms of the pundits and in terms of people who watch football. But for the Real Madrid fans, they know they have a gem, and also the German team.
Of course, Toni Kroos getting his first goal of the tournament so far. So we want to take a look at the top scorers that we have in this tournament so far. Remember, a number of teams have only played 2 games, so we want to take a look at the top scorers that we have in Russia so far. And of course, Cristiano Ronaldo, 4 goals from 2 games. Romelu Lukaku, 4 goals from 2 games. Denis Cheryshev, 3 goals from 2 games. Diego Costa, of course, 3 goals from 2 games. Harry Kane, 2 goals from his first match. He will be in action later on in the next probably 15 minutes. These are some of the top scorers that we have so far. And we take a look at the list is long. Felipe Coutinho, 2 goals so far. Eden Hazard, 2 goals. Luka Modric, 2 goals. Ahmed Musa for Nigeria, 2 goals. And Mila Jedinak, 2 goals. So I would like to go back to the guys that have scored 4 goals and 3 goals so far in the tournament. And Dan, let's talk about this. Cristiano Ronaldo, 4 goals so far, 2 games. He went into this tournament having scored 3 goals in 3 World Cups.
Yes.
But now he's starting to doubt, you know, prove critics wrong that he can perform at the World Cup.
Yeah, Cristiano has been nothing but phenomenal. He is really the star in the Portugal side. He does have quite a number of good players around him in the Portuguese team. You have the like of Goncalo Guedes, who is a bit young, and we expect him to show up much later in the tournament. Cristiano has just been out of this world. We saw it at Real Madrid. He has been there for the team when they needed him, against Juventus and the likes. So it's not a surprise that he's at the top.
Joe, Romelu Lukaku, 4 goals so far, 2 games played, and he's among the guys that will be gunning for the golden shoe at the end of the tournament.
Well, yes, we talked about it earlier. His supply chains are quite well in the team, and we have to give credit where it's due. His finishing is brilliant, and we can see by the results of the 4 goals. Yes.
Denis Cheryshev, 3 goals so far for Russia. Came in as a substitute in the first game, netted twice in that game. In their second game against Egypt, again, he was on the score sheet. What are your thoughts about Cheryshev?
Well, all I can say is this. He's a brilliant striker, don't get me wrong. But if you look at the games that the Russians have played, we can't really sit down here and say concretely there have been solid games that we can compare them to the likes of the goals that Cristiano scored against Spain. Having said that, I wish he can get more because, again, they're the surprise package as the host nation.
Remember, you can be part of this conversation. The phone lines are open. You can call in. You can be part of this conversation. The phone numbers will be on the bottom area of the screen. You can call in, be part of the conversation. Of course, we are talking about the World Cup. And right now, we are talking about the top scorers of the World Cup that we have so far. A number of teams have played their second 2 games so far. And I want to bring your attention to this man, Diego Costa, right here. 3 goals. He's the only guy that has scored for Spain so far. Dan, Diego Costa.
Diego Costa, I'd say he's been doing very well. He's in a similar situation to Lukaku in what Josa said in the supply. Spain is full of supply, and he is lucky to be in that team. And he is a unique striker in that he's usually left as a lone man, and he plays off as a shadow striker. And in Spain, they are not playing with a shadow striker, so you can really get to see his finishing qualities and what he brings to the team. Even some of the goals we've seen have been solo efforts. He goes, muscles the defender, tries to turn 1-2, and boom. Yeah.
So we want to take a look at, now we are done with the results from the matches that were played yesterday. And of course, we want to take a look at the fixtures that we have for this afternoon in the World Cup. Remember, it's match day 11. 75 goals have been scored so far after match day 10. So we want to take a look at the fixtures for the World Cup this afternoon. 3 fixtures, of course, on the cards. 1 African team will be in action, and that is Senegal. Of course, we'll be talking about Senegal later on. But the first match of the day, of course, is England taking on Panama. Gentlemen, as before we get to take a look at that, what are your expectations, Joe? England against Panama. You are a 3 Lions fan.
Yes, I am.
What are your expectations from this 3 Lions side?
I expect a similar performance from what we did in Tunisia, but our only shortcomings was the finishing aspects. We had the pace of Sterling, we had the pace of Dele Alli, we had the brilliantness of the captain Harry Kane, but again, we did not finish so many chances. I would have wished today Jamie Vardy starts instead of Sterling or instead of Rashford. Why? Because Jamie Vardy brings in now the finishing capability. Also in the midfield, instead of having Jesse Lingard, if they could bring in someone called Ruben Loftus-Cheek to provide a buffer so that Dele Alli can go forward and Loftus-Cheek and Henderson can hold on to the midfield. That being said, I am very optimistic that we're going to get a good scoreline against Panama, and I'm giving it a 2-0.
Of course, these are the 2 men that everybody will be watching. Blas Perez, of course, for Panama, and Harry Kane for England. Remember, Harry Kane scored 2 goals in England's first game against Tunisia. And is the burden too heavy on Harry Kane? Everybody's looking at him to score the goals.
Yeah, he has been criticized, and most people don't really think he's at the level of Cristiano or Messi, even though the numbers do show that he is not far from there. I think he just has to prove everyone wrong. If the burden is on him, he just has to carry it, bring the team forward, and I'm sure if the team behind him, he's going to flourish in this World Cup.
Joe, do you think that England are going to regret having the fact that they're relying too much on Harry Kane to score the goals for them?
Obviously. Again, if you look at the caliber of players that we have who can play in the striking force, are on the bench. You're putting Jamie Vardy on the bench. You're relying on captain Harry Kane to score for you the set-piece scores. Because before, Harry Kane is not a fast player. If you get a defensive line that is low and they can only rely on shooting from distance, you'll need your